Hey everybody, welcome back to Tim Travels. So I'm not really sure exactly when this video is going to get posted because it's going to be a little bit complicated to make, but it's been something I've been working on for a long time. And so, a year ago in June, I did a video about Flag Day. Flag Day's on June 14th. And, I talked about the U.S. Flag Code, which is federal law, and it basically says, here's how the flag gets displayed. Here are things that you're not supposed to do. You're not supposed to defile the flag, and expose it to like filth or anything like that. And you're also supposed to, kind of, I'll use the word revere it, but respect it. It's not, it's not a floor covering. It's not a curtain. It's not, it's not to be used or displayed in a way that takes away from respect for it. So with that in mind, I kind of set out because, I hate, first of all, the premise that somebody would call themselves a patriot is just an anathema to me. Because I don't think you can't deem yourself a patriot, right? Somebody that's been called a patriot, by a historian, and it's a retrospective view, that's one thing. And there is a definition of a patriot, but somebody who just was in the military or flies a flag or is some kind of, loudmouth politician, they're not a patriot, right? They're just doing something they want to do for their own purposes. That doesn't make them a patriot. The reason people often talk about the founding fathers as patriots is because what they were doing was risking everything, not just their livelihoods, because these were a lot of rich men. A lot of these men were very wealthy. Certainly many of them achieved wealth because they were slaveholders. And like I was talking about the last video, Thomas Jefferson, he inherited a lot from his father, but anyway, these were guys that, had they failed, failure certainly was an option because they were going up against the British Empire. They were going up against the monarchy. They were seeking to overturn a colonial system that the British had every reason to want to keep intact. I mean, obviously they fought a war over it, right? But, like a guy like Jefferson or Franklin or John Adams, Samuel Adams, Washington, all of those people, plus millions of, or not millions, but certainly hundreds and hundreds of other people, guys that signed the Declaration of Independence, guys that were, a big part of what happened, they would have all been hung had they been caught. And a lot of them spent a lot of time away from their families. But truthfully, if the British had prevailed, they would have hung all those guys, and they would have basically, destroyed any wealth that they had. They would have taken all the power. So these guys' families would have been left destitute. It would have been really ugly to have failed in the revolution. And I think these guys understood that. You look at Nathan Hale being executed. The British were, depending on the person, were pretty willing to commit a lot of violence to suppress the rebellion. So, in modern day times, there are very few people that I would refer to as patriots. Every once in a while, I'll see a politician that does something, and kind of like they're like modern day profiles in courage, The one person I can think of is Liz Cheney. Not a woman whose family I particularly look up to, not a woman whose political views would probably align with a lot of mine, although I think certainly some of them would, and that's just based on her willingness to support and defend the Constitution against all enemies, foreign and domestic. But she, she took a stand and risked at least her livelihood, her political career. Now, is her family going to be like taken out and shot? I don't think so. Although I wouldn't think that it was unusual that she might be in danger. I mean, you look at what happened to Nancy Pelosi's husband. I think the specter of political violence is certainly out there, and for anybody that isn't of a certain political ilk and really kind of crazy, there are bad people out there. The funny thing about the Paul Pelosi attack is the guy I don't know if this is registered with a lot of people, but the guy who attacked him is actually an illegal immigrant, or he's undocumented. He's actually in the United States illegally from Canada. And I'm like, we got enough problems without Canadians coming down here and attacking people. But anyway, so there you go. We should build the wall up there in Washington and Idaho and Montana. I don't know, but anyway, so that's kind of my view on patriot. If somebody calls themselves a patriot, they're not. Except maybe the football team. Like Tom Brady was a patriot, but he's not now. But anyway, I don't want to belabor that point, but it does grind my gears. So anyway, as I'm doing this part of the video, it's actually the birthday of the Marine Corps, so happy birthday to all my Gyrene, Jarhead, Devil Dog, Seago, and Bellhop friends. I might have mentioned this in the past. My dad was a Marine during World War II. My brother was a Marine. But my dad supported me going, and I might have told this story before, but my dad supported me going in the Navy. By the way, I got my midshipman hoodie on here that my daughter got me. Wore it at the football game recently. But my dad did not like the Marine recruiter who was the recruiter when I was like a senior in high school. It was a different recruiter when my younger brother joined the Marine Corps, so my dad was cool with that guy. But it's kind of funny how I ended up in the Navy. But anyway, so getting back to the flag stuff, I've seen this explosion of flag waving and, lighted crosses and stuff like that. And I can't remember who said it, but they said when, and I'm sure one of my astute viewers will know, but they said when fascism comes to America, it'll be carrying a Bible and waving a flag. And, I think about that a lot, because there's a lot of misinformation. There's a vein of anti-Semitism running through certain circles, and what's alarming to me is that it's so ubiquitous. Well, I don't know if I want to say it's so ubiquitous, but it's certainly so overt. It's not on the fringes. It's not whispered. There are politicians in mainstream political parties who are saying, extraordinarily dangerous things and, kind of teeing up people that are prone to do some violent things. And I think it's a real danger. And, it also concerns me that a lot of Americans don't seem to value democracy. And I think part of that is that people just aren't educated on what the lack of democracy looks like. And I guess what I would point to is, look at a country like Spain. Spain, if you go there, it's a modern European country, right? It's a beautiful place, a lot of really cool things, nice people. But to this day, and keep in mind, you know, the Spanish Civil War was occurring in the 30s, but the dictatorship of Francisco Franco, who, by the way, used to be the brunt of a joke on Saturday Night Live when Chevy Chase did Weekend Update. He would be like, Generalissimo Francisco Franco is still dead, because Franco died, I think, in 75. But that country was very divided for a long time, and it was a result of a civil war that other nations got involved in. And we already know, right, there are Russian people, very wealthy Russians who are well connected to Putin, who have admitted that they have interfered in US elections. And I've always believed this, that, you know, the United States can only be destroyed from within, right? But we have to be cognizant of the fact that there are actors out there that are malign and they mean us harm. And destroying the democratic ideal is part of their game plan, and it has been since, you know, for 100 years. It's just come in different forms. So getting back to the hyper, you know, like fake patriotism, I call these people Faketriots. Faketriots. You heard it here first. You know, they want to fly the flag. They want to think they're better than other people, and really they fly the flag in many ways to, I really do think, not to express their love of country, because if you love this country, you love its democratic process, you love free and fair elections, you love the people that come here, immigrants, and you love what the American experiment is all about. But when you want to, you know, change that for your own benefit, that's anti-democratic and it's un-American. And so I look askance at people who like are waving the flag in my face and showing me their cross that has stars and stripes in the border of the cross. I saw one of those the other day. America is not, like, by design, is not a Christian country. In fact, a lot of the founding fathers were Unitarians, and if you know anything about Unitarian Universalism, you know that basically Unitarians, like, theory of religion or doctrine or catechism is that, you know, we think everybody's cool. You know, however you get to your spiritual place is your business. Which is kind of interesting because, you know, the founding fathers, you know, everybody says, oh, this country was founded on religion. Well, that's not exactly true. People came here because of religion, but the United States was not founded on it. And there were a lot of people that are students of history or want to not be ignorant will know that it was a big concern. It was a very big concern that there not be a state religion. And that religious freedom not be suppressed. So, with that in mind, here's my look, and I've taken photos and videos over a lengthy period of time of truckers, you know, basically maltreating and disrespecting the United States flag, the national ensign. Now, let me preface this by saying they have every right to do so, even though some of the stuff that they do is against the law. But in this video, you're going to see lots of like smaller clips and also photos. And in some of these, I'm not going to narrate each one because a lot of them are self-explanatory. But in many of these, the flag, an American flag that is being blasted with diesel exhaust, is put in a place where animal manure will get on it and stay on it. These people are defiling the flag. I mean, what's done in a lot of these photos or videos is no different than just getting a flag and wiping your butt with it. I mean, let's be honest, it's the same thing. It's the same thing. They want to be some Faketriot, but they don't want to properly display the flag, and they want to display it so they can make sure everybody knows how awesome they are. And you know, all it shows me is that they don't really understand this country, and they certainly don't understand the law, and they don't understand respect for the flag. So you're, like I said, you're going to see some videos, you're going to see some other clips, and some of it's just stupid. By the way, every picture that was taken like on the road was either taken by me while I was in the passenger seat, or it was taken by one of my co-drivers. Same thing with any videos like that, because if I was sitting in the seat and I saw something that fit into this category, I'd immediately take a picture. So take a look at this. I'll come back at the end with a little follow-up, and I'd love to hear your comments. But this is probably going to get put out on Veterans Day. And you know how I feel about pimping veterans? I feel the same way about pimping Jesus, and I feel the same way about pimping the American flag. You know, I grew up in a town where I couldn't. I mean, every man seemed like he was a veteran, right? And I could count on one hand the number of people that flew the American flag every day. Like, I had neighbors that had been in, I had a neighbor down the street, this is how old I am, or how old he was. The dude was in World War I. This is like in the 70s, right? He was old, but he had been in World War I, you know, and you know, I knew tons of World War II veterans, Korean War veterans, some guys that were in both wars. Some of the younger guys, a lot of the younger guys have been to Vietnam. You know, and I grew up around, I had school teachers that were, you know, I had a ton of school teachers that were, men school teachers that were veterans. And there were even some women that had been nurses in the military and stuff in my town. But nobody was waving the flag, nobody was calling themselves a patriot. Everybody was just, you know, it was just something that everybody seemed to be involved in, and not like it is today. And nobody was asking for a free latte, or, well, you couldn't get a latte in my town anyway, but, you know, they weren't asking for anything. They didn't get special parking spots. Hell, if the local IGA had special parking spots for veterans like they do at some Lowe's stores, the entire frickin' parking lot would have had to been veteran spots. Because there was nobody that I knew like that hadn't been in the military, you know, unless they were like in a wheelchair, like from birth or something. It was not a big deal, and it still shouldn't be a big deal. It's just a job. People volunteer for it, and then they should just go about their business and quit asking for favors. And people should quit pimping it and quit giving them favors, you know. So anyway, without further ado, take a look at all these Faketriot truck drivers, and if you're one of them, I call on you to repent. In the name of Patrick Henry and Roger Sherman, I call on you to repent. All right, take a look.
Should we give him a copy of the flag code and tell him how he's desecrating America? Don't do that, man. You gonna go burn that, brother?
He must have seen my video.
You gotta step it up. You can do it then. So put it on. So you gotta do it. I can't believe this is happening in front of us. This is one for the scramble. Let's rip up another flag on the ass end of the trailer. Is he gonna put this one upside down too? See how he's effectively using his sleepy birth time? Let's go give him some zip ties.
So, couple of follow-up comments. The last two videos, the one where you're looking in the cab of a truck, that was a guy who had a small American flag attached to the chain for his air horn. So every time he wanted to blast his air horn, he would have to reach up and grab a hold of an American flag and pull it down. And then the one where it's the Dodge pickup with the flag in the back, I actually clipped that from an article about a dude that did a hit and run, like a felony hit and run, and that was a picture of the truck. I think that was actually in Ohio. But I was like, you know, if you're gonna be out there committing felonies, you know, like, and when I say felony, I think it was like some assault too, like he was like assaulted somebody, but they got a picture and he had the American flag in the back, so maybe that's how you recognize criminals trying to get away from the scene. But and then the other, you also saw a video of a guy that I had videoed earlier in the day where he had this ratty upside down filthy flag on the back of his trailer. Well, then he put another flag on it, but he drug the first flag on the ground. And by the way, if you have a flag that's properly displayed but it still gets dirty, you can wash a flag. We used to do it all the time in the Navy. If we had our flagstaff colors that were dirty or you know, something like that, we would just take them, like when we got underway and we didn't need that flag, because we were flying our underway flag from the mast, we would just take it down to the ship's laundry and have it washed. You can wash a flag, but you can't defile it, right? Like, and so anyway, but this guy put a new flag on, but while he was doing it, he was like putting the other one on the ground and stuff. Like, I think it wouldn't surprise me that he just threw it away in the trash, which also is prohibited. It is not a proper way to dispose of a flag. But the funniest part about this whole incident was that on his way out of the truck stop, he hit another truck. So super trucker, Mr. Faketriot, he couldn't even get out of that Love's without hitting another truck from, he actually hit a truck from Raider Express, a guy that was bobtail. Yeah. So anyway, hope you enjoyed that or respected it or have a little bit of better understanding about how I feel, at least, and how I feel about our country and stuff. And I appreciate everybody watching, and I'll enjoy your comments. And by the way, I love comments, but if you don't know what you're talking about, I'm gonna embarrass you. I'm just gonna embarrass you. So anyway, I will talk to you soon. Bye.